Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Team VRY. So it's been a while since I've had a OnePlus phone. In fact, the last device I remember owning was the OnePlus 9 Pro, and you've probably seen a couple of the videos that we have on the channel. And for the longest time, I've been switching between the Galaxy S25 and the Poco F7 series. But with that in mind, I thought I'd try out the OnePlus 13R and see what it offers. Now it's been a while since the launch of this device, and while the 13R isn't exactly a flagship grade smartphone, it does come with some impressive hardware features, and I do think that is one of the more underrated smartphones of 2025. And yeah, after using the OnePlus 13R, I find it hard to go back to competitors like the Pixel 9a. In fact, I would put it closer to the Poco F7 Pro, for example. And for this one, I just want to give you guys 3 big highlights of the smartphone in case you're on the fence about getting one. With that said, let's get started. Alright, so obviously one of the biggest highlights of the OnePlus 13R is its performance. Now it does come with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset along with 12GB of RAM, and that is a solid combination, and it's the same kind of configuration that we've seen in phones like the Poco F7 Pro. Sure, the 8 Gen 3 is pretty old at this point. It's since been exceeded by the 8 Elite and the 8 Elite Gen 5, but on its own is pretty much a very capable chipset for gaming, for performance heavy tasks, and with 12GB of RAM on this phone, you're not really gonna run into any drastic performance problems. And during my time using it, it was a smooth experience overall. Like, it didn't really have any stutters, no freezes, no lags, and was pretty much capable of running all the games that I usually play on my smartphones. Now the 8 Gen 3's performance also ties into the battery, which is the second point that I want to talk about in this video. It does come with a large battery capacity at 6,000 mAh, and it does charge pretty fast at around 80 watts, which is only slightly slower compared to the Poco F7 Pro's 90-watt charging. With that said though, I've gotten good screen on times with the OnePlus 13R, and it's pretty much an all-day device, and you can probably even stretch it to maybe 2 days if you're more of a moderate user and you don't really game on your smartphone. And yeah, I've never really had battery anxiety when using the OnePlus 13R, so again, it's one of the bigger highlights of this smartphone. Now the last point I want to make is the design and display. Now this is going to be more subjective. Of course, your preferences might be different in terms of how you want your phone to look, but I do like the design on the OnePlus 13R. The off-center camera island grew on me. I wasn't really fond of it at first, but yeah, I've come to appreciate it. It does have its own charm, and I really love the sleek matte look of this device. Now as for the display, you do get a large 6.7-inch LTPO screen on this phone, so if handling larger smartphones isn't really an issue for you, then you're gonna love what OnePlus is offering with the 13R. It gets really bright at up to 4500 nits of peak brightness. Of course, you do have 120Hz refresh rate, and there's Gorilla Glass 7 eye for protection. So again, you're really getting premium grade hardware with the OnePlus 13R. Now with all that being said, let's take a look at some of the other factors of the smartphone. For one, Oxygen OS is of course vastly different from the stock experience, quote unquote, that you get on Pixel smartphones, but it does remain fluid and fast. You get lots of customization support for your icons, your animations, your themes and wallpapers. And yeah, it's nice to be able to use a more customizable version of Android again after years on Pixel, which was a bit more restrictive in terms of the overall UI experience. Now as for the camera, it does come with a pretty versatile triple camera setup. So there's a 50 megapixel main camera, a 50 megapixel telephoto lens, as well as an 8 megapixel ultra-wide lens and a 16 megapixel selfie camera. Now camera performance on the 13 is decent. It's not the same Hasselblad configuration that you get on the flagship OnePlus phones, and overall you're gonna get good photos, especially in ideal lighting conditions, but there are many times when the camera performance really shows its mid-range nature. So there are times when I get blurry shots in situations where a Pixel or even a Samsung phone would still manage to get a decent picture overall. And as for video, it's pretty alright, although stabilization could be a bit better, especially again if you compare it to rival smartphones for the same price. Now, with all that being said, the OnePlus 13R is a bit cheaper now. The price tends to go up and down depending on which sellers you're looking at, but on OnePlus's own website, I've seen it go for less than £500 in the UK, which does bring it around the same price as the Pixel 9a, for example, and even the Poco F7 Pro. So yeah, you are getting a flagship hardware experience, and while there are some reservations to take note of, such as the camera performance, overall the OnePlus 13R is a pretty solid Android phone. And again, like I said earlier in this video, it's one of the more underrated devices of 2025. So yeah, that does it for this quick video. Let me know what you think about the OnePlus 13R in the comments below. Don't forget to check out the other videos here on TeamViewerY. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.